Still on our Pacific swing, we head to Okayama for round 3 of the Penguin RC Sportscar Challenge. I, of course, am CubeCast. Here with me, as every week this season, is Matt Kingsbury. And Matt, we're getting set to see some exciting racing as these drivers work their way through qualifying.
Yeah, very fun track, very tight. It's going to be action-packed. And, a lot of the drivers seem extra comfortable here. One driver made the comment that with all the MX-5 practice they have here, everyone should be pretty good. So, a lot of track that almost everyone in the field is familiar with.
Yeah, I remember this was one of the first tracks that I raced constantly to get some practice on the roadside in that MX-5 Cup. And there's a couple different layouts. We're running the full layout here tonight, and it's going to be interesting because it's not the widest of tracks, but there's still several opportunities for you to practice passing.
Yeah, there's some places on the track, like right here down the backstretch, that's fairly wide. But I'd say that's really the only place that feels wide. The rest of it feels quite narrow.
Yeah, and there are some long straightaways, so even though the corners do tighten up, some of these longer straightaways give you the opportunity to try to make a move under braking or try to use the slipstream to your advantage. This is a look right now at Sarah Rabb. She just finished up her lap, and she currently sits P1 about a tenth and a half over Ray Kingsbury, and Blake Reynolds not far behind him.
Yeah, some pretty close times at the front here. Top bunch only separated by half a second all the way back to Brian Son in 6th. So that's pretty nice. And even if you go down the field, really, within 1 second, we have 9 cars, almost 10. So it should be a pretty competitive race.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a fun one to watch. Of course, we do have that invert down to, I think it's 15 spots. I can't remember anymore. We do have that invert, so we will see the field reset after we do the 15-minute sprint. And here's a look. You see him wrecking here, but he just came off of an absolute flyer. That's Savian Ragster. It's probably going to be a one and done here for him this season, but he jumps straight up to P2, and he's a driver that's been in the series for a couple of seasons now.
Yeah, Savian's quite quick. Hasn't been in the car the last 2 seasons, but all the way back to season 1, we'll remember that he was that guy that tied with Ray Kingsbury for the championship in the final round and lost it due to a tiebreaker rule.
Yeah, that was quite the action-packed season 1. We've had some great racing ever since. That car still looks good. There's Josh Mertz in the number 81. He is pretty far down in 17th for the moment, but he's in that McLaren, the lone McLaren in the field, I do believe. So just getting some laps in, and he's making that car look good. And just in front of him, that is Rags that we were just talking about. He is just flying out there.
Yeah, Savian's a driver that's very aggressive, so it should be fun to watch him tonight. Kevin Fanning, Cody Crossgrove, Cody's last year's AM champion, Kevin's last year's runner-up. Those two doing quite a nice job in practice here and qualifying too. They're sitting 5th and 6th. So, pretty competitive field. Chad, the championship battle is pretty darn close right now in both, I think, Pro and AM. So, it's looking like an eventful night.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one for sure. We had a little bit of a shake-up last week with our AM champion not showing up for the race, or I guess 2 weeks ago now. But, it's just going to turn into some interesting racing here. 3 minutes left in qualifying. Still Rabb, Ragster, Reynolds, and Crosgrove with Kingsbury in the middle of the sandwich there. Couple of interesting names further down. Say Brandon Lambert, I expect him to be there in the middle to bottom third of the top 10, so he's right there where I expected. But some of these guys, I wouldn't have expected Kieran Forrest to be so far down, currently sitting in 18th.
Yeah, it's quite deep for Kieran, but he's had an interesting season. He hasn't really had a good one yet, and we'll look for him to rebound. He's sitting 19th overall in the point standings, missed last week, or missed 2 weeks ago. So he's still struggling to get up to grips with this and the speed for the season with the Porsche.
Yeah, it does seem like he's not going to end up being able to compete the whole season this time around because of a scheduling conflict. So going to be running a partial schedule this season, but otherwise it's just going to be a fun bit of racing for him, just trying to get more familiar with the road side of things. So just working our way here the last couple minutes of qualifying. This is Peter Houston, currently sitting back in the 7th position, and he, I think, is that a different livery? I'm not entirely sure. I think it is, because has he changed cars as well? Is that right?
Yeah, I think he's trying every car this season just to see what he likes, and this is his third one in the third race, so he's not really running for points. He's obviously going to be resetting here after this race, so I guess he's looking to have fun. Can't blame him. It's a good idea.
Yeah, you get one free car change per season. After that, your points do reset with the changes, and that's to prevent drivers from changing cars too often to try to take advantage at different tracks, because we kind of talked about it before the show went live, but this is a car that might not favor some cars like the Mercedes all too much.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the BOP is currently really good, so even on the weaker tracks, that the cars are pretty balanced. But a car like a Porsche, which in my opinion is fantastic, in slower speed corners, fantastic on areas like that, it's going to excel in my opinion. Any car that can get off the corners here, there's a lot of tight places where it's hard to land on the traction, so if you got a car that can do that well, it's going to help out.
Yeah, absolutely. Last about 20 seconds or so of qualifying here. I don't think that drivers are going to be able to finish their last lap. I can't remember how it ended up working out last time, but definitely going to be a fun one to watch here as we continue to tick the seconds down. That was Ragster that went around there. This is still back on with Peter Houston now. A couple cars have pulled off to the side to let guys go through, and yeah, that's the end of qualifying.
Yeah, and I just took a brief look at the point standings. In the drivers overall, we have Blake Reynolds with a healthy lead of about 36 points. But right behind him is Ray Kingsbury. Lambert only 1 point behind Ray Kingsbury, which might shock a few people, but Lambert's been fairly consistent this season, and Ray had a very bad sprint at Road America, so Brandon was able to capitalize on the points there. Taylor Carroll's in 4th, and Kevin Fanning in 5th. And Sarah Rabb is actually in 6th. She's had pretty bad luck at Road America in the final race, and then at the sprint race in Twin Ring Matei, she had some really bad luck too.
Yeah, so we're getting set to take to the grid here for what should be an exciting race. Let's take a look at that starting grid for the Okayama. Oh my God, because I couldn't come up with another name for it. So Sarah Rabb sits on the pole here in the sprint race, and she's going to be followed by Savian Ragster on the outside of row number 1, and Ray Kingsbury, Blake Reynolds, Cody Crosgrove, and Kevin Fanning, row 3. Peter Houston, Brandon Lambert, Christian Aust, and Brian Son on row 5, and then Taylor Carroll, Tim Brokaw, row number 6. Marwan Mafta then in the 191 on row number 7 with Seth Rawls to his outside, William Dunbar and Navar Luce with Josh Mertz, Kieran Forrest, row 9, Keith Jeffrey, and Daniel Saponsky there in 19th and 20th. And then down on the last place on the field to start, Brian Smith. We'll have to see if he can work his way up as the race goes on. But looks like we are getting set here to get the grid rolling. Just waiting for that safety car to take off. I think we're waiting on one final driver to take to the grid there in that inside lane. And it looks like we are rolling.
Yeah, very short roll up here to the green, so not a lot of fuel is going to be wasted. And yeah, I think this race is going to be a very, very, very interesting one, this short 15-minute sprint race. And I think you're going to have to make moves early here to make it happen. It's a hard place to get passes done. Yes. Your only real chance to make a pass is if someone makes a mistake. So I think we're going to see some drivers be quite aggressive here on the start.
Yeah, it's a 15-minute sprint, and that's going to take us to about 11 laps. We'll have to see how things go as we get set here following your leader, Sarah Rabb. She starts to lead the field onto the front straight. She waits, waiting for the green. Still waiting. It's a long drive down this front straightaway. And there it is. We are off and underway here from Okayama. Sarah Rabb on the inside. There you see the wide bed, 3 wide further on back. Can everybody make it through here cleanly? It looks like at least through the front of the field, so far so good. Taylor Carroll's lost a couple positions on the start, but he slots in right behind Brandon Lambert for the time being.
Yeah, change up at the front. Ray Kingsbury got around saving Ragster. And, Ragster's around contact with Blake Reynolds.
And a couple other drivers piling in. These guys have to keep it to the inside. Hold the brakes here, boys, as they do get settled in. And they are going to be hopefully getting back underway. There they are. Yep, no more cars to come, so they settled back in. They have to make up a couple of spots if they want things to sort themselves out for them, because if they start, I think, is it 18 cars in the invert? I can't never remember.
15 cars.
15.
Also, just took a look at that incident with Blake Reynolds saving Ragster. Looked like possibly a little bit of net code, but Xavier squeezed Blake Reynolds right over the curb. He had nowhere else to go. So definitely unfortunate for Xavier Ragster early, but it looks like Blake Reynolds managed to come through unscathed.
Yeah, this is Peter Houston here. Started in the 7th position, already now up to 4th, and he's hunting the back of Cody Crosgrove, trying to find a way by.
Yeah, he's looking quite good, and yeah, he's making that BMW work for him there.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit ago, but yeah, switching cars pretty consistently, just doing everything he can to try and just figure out what he likes, what he doesn't like, and maybe get some more practice in for when he wants to turn a full season of point scoring, or just get himself ready for some official races.
So far, so good. No major incidents other than what we saw there with Christian Ost now being out of the race, it looks like, and with Xavier Ragster. But other than that, not too bad so far. We've got the closest battle definitely for Peter Houston, making the lunge down here into the fishbowl corner. Slight contact with Cody Crossgrove. Blake Reynolds looking to follow through.
Yeah, Reynolds thought about peeking in and making it 3 wide there down at the end of the straightaway, but instead, contact there, rubbing both of them, and Blake Reynolds somehow finds his way through. So he goes 2 for 1, but these guys still battling. There's a log jam of cars back behind him.
Yeah, fantastic move by Blake Reynolds there. Cody Crossgrove holding on to the spot. Kevin Fanning, I thought, was going to move up there, but Brandon Lambert managed to peek a spot on him.
I absolutely hate that little section of corners. It's a tight left into a hard right-hand hairpin, and it's just so hard to get that right and get a good launch off the corner here, because as long as this straightaway is, you need every bit of momentum you can possibly get.
Yeah, and if you can carry that speed through here, this is one of those good passing zones where you're going to be hard on the brakes.
And there you see an entire freight train of cars still working their way around here, as we still have over 11 minutes to go. And that's kind of surprising me, just because, it just feels like so much more of this race has already gone by with as much great racing as we've seen.
Yeah, very, very small track. So we've seen a lot already in 1 lap or 2 laps. And, we actually have a breakaway at the front with Sarah and Ray pretty much waving goodbye to the rest of the field. And now Blake Reynolds also starting to check out.
Yeah, and that's interesting to watch. This is a look at Brian Son. He's been thinking about making a move here on Tim Brokaw a couple of times. Brian has lost a couple of positions from his start, but he is still hanging on there to the last car basically in this front pack. There you see a little bit of a gap out at the front now. It's starting to develop up to Brokaw, though.
We've got a battle still. Oh, they're off. Cody Crossgrove is off the track after contact with Peter Houston.
Safely is able to rejoin. Yes, he is.
It was an interesting one. I'm not really sure what happened there. It looked like Peter made the move. I'm not sure if there was netcode contact, but Cody looked like he tried to cover it up and just got rear-ended by Peter. I'm not really sure what happened there.
Yeah, I saw that Peter was trying to make a move before they went into the corner, and I think that maybe just the intent to cover it off might have thrown off the braking of Peter Houston, and unfortunately causing that instance. So Houston slots into the 5th position for now. Cody Crosgrove drops all the way back to 13th, and if you're him, you might just be happy with that, because then you're not so far. You do lose some points here in the sprint, but you're not so far back when you start the feature.
Yeah, definitely something to consider. I think Cody's definitely not going to be happy about that though, but I'm not really sure that was Peter's fault. I thought that was a pretty reasonable move. It might have been a late move, but he wasn't yet turned in, so I personally don't have a problem with it.
As we continue to watch these guys work their way around, and just so much fun here in this series because of the format, and there's a strategy call, and Cosgrove, of course, is in that pro category. He's got a couple of AM drivers there you see in front of him. You can tell with the either the windshield visor or the wing end plates, but these guys continue to just kind of filter their way around, and Cosgrove trying to decide if he wants to work his way forward or just kind of lounge around in the back.
Yeah, Cody had a good season last season. I remember battling with him quite often. He was getting help from Michael Janney, and I think he learned quite a bit last season. So glad to see him make that step up last year to get the championship going to pro. Brandon Lambert, another one of those guys that this season has looked very, very solid. He's currently running P4 on racetrack, your AIM class leader.
So we'll see how things cycle around. This is Brandon Lambert. You see how much of a gap that he's got both out the front and out the back. He's 2 seconds, 3 seconds behind Blake Reynolds, and he's got about a second and a half back to Kevin Fanning. Fanning, of course, you saw him in the background there, just overtook Peter Houston. Peter kind of yo-yoing throughout this field from 7th up to 4th and now back down to 6th. We'll have to see where he can finish things out here in the sprint.
Yeah, he ran off track. It looks like he's right back to it with the speed there. He's all over the back of Kevin Fanning there. And these two look like they're going to pick up on their battle here.
Now, these guys are very similar on pace, it feels like, no matter where we go. We've seen them battle week in and week out, and there you see how defensive Fanning is on the inside. And Houston trying to just find a way around. In the MX-5s, that's a great passing zone into that left-hander, but here, not so much because of how differently these cars handle. But you can definitely get a move done down the front stretch going into turn 1, but I don't think that Houston has the launch for it here.
Yeah, these cars are sliding around quite a lot. I'm seeing a lot of movement out of them for GT3 cars, so it's got to be I don't know if it's scary or fun if you're the driver. Probably scary if you're racing, So, but fun for us to watch.
There's a peek to the inside once again.
Ooh.
Covering off very late was Fanning all the way down to the apex, but no harm, no foul so far. We'll have to wait and see what happens with if they get a little more heated later on in the race.
I don't know if he meant to cover that off. I think it was just his line. I think Peter's a little better through that section of the course as he's got the run down the backstretch here. He should have the inside here. Might be able to get the move done under braking.
There you see fading over just and he turns him. Wow. I'm not sure what the stewards are going to say about that one, but there you see him just still spinning around there. Houston up. And I'm not sure. I think that, that's one of those where the natural racing line is going to take you back to the left, and Houston did not want to give up that space.
Well, yeah, that was an odd one. I don't think it was anything intentional. I thought he probably assumed Kevin was going to be all the way over on the left and he could come out a little bit. But yeah, Peter, I'm gonna listen to the radio. Peter does not think that he turned left on him, but and I don't think anything was on purpose there. But
yeah, I definitely
Kevin definitely didn't turn in.
I definitely don't think that anything was on purpose in that one, but I definitely think that maybe that just a little more heads up from Peter would have made things go a long way. But the one thing I've noticed is after that incident, Houston's run wide a couple of times. There you see him dropping his left sides in the dirt. He's done that a couple of times and just lost a bunch of time and momentum as he lost more time to Brandon Lambert out in front of him. This is a little further back. Brian Son diving to the inside of Brokaw, not able to get close enough under braking. But these guys, because of the attrition around them, have worked their way up from I think this was the battle for 10th and 11th. It's now the battle for 8th and 9th. They've worked up 2 spots just from keeping themselves clean.
Yeah, they've done a good job. Seth Rawls included in that. I think he started a little further. He started 14th on the grid to Seth Rawls, so he's actually pretty much your biggest mover out of that group.
Navarro and Luce going up back. The inside there. That's Navarre in the 96. An interesting paint job there. Looks like a little airbrush work done to it, but yeah, it's Mofta, Luce, and Crosgrove, the 3 drivers pictured there. Mofta looks back to the inside, almost some contact. Sorry, that was Crosgrove that was looking back to the inside. And easy, boys. You still got 5 more minutes of this up front, though. Still Sarah Rabb. Her lead has grown to over 2 seconds. Blake Reynolds then a couple seconds behind Ray Kingsbury. So front 3 pretty well spread out. Lambert, for the moment, all on his lonesome. There's definitely some interesting moves going on as it's like Big Dog has found his way by Josh Mertz. That's Big Dog in the 52, and they're side by side there with Keith Jeffrey. Keith to the inside. He's trying to get himself acclimated to this track. He didn't have the best showing in practice or qualifying, but he's picked up some time here as he continues to work his way around. So definitely going to see what happens here. Josh Mertz gone around.
Well, he is running the McLaren, so he kind of deserves it.
Yeah, there you see Flame spitting out the back. The back end steps out. I don't know that there was much contact there, but definitely just overdrove the corner, and the back end went around on him.
Yeah, I mean, that's when you run the McLaren, that's kind of what you risk, and Josh knows that. It's one of those cars that if once it starts to get loose, it's very hard to save it. Seth Rawls running wide here. Tim Brokaw making the dive for 7th place, gets the job done. Oh, switch back by Seth Rawls.
Inside's going to go back in favor of Brokaw. No, somehow able to get his nose up the inside, but can't get the launch off the corner, and that's going to open the door for Brian. Brian to the inside. Can Brian get there? No, he's still a couple car lengths back.
That was a good bit of racing right there by Tim Brokaw. He did a slide job type thing and managed to somehow keep it tight. That was nice.
These guys all working very hard throughout the week. Constantly see them posting in the discussion. Oh, Brian with a fantastic slide job there on Seth Rawls. Can he continue, though, as he continues to hold on to that spot? And all that their battling is done between Son and Rawls has given Brokaw a bit of a gap.
Yeah, he must be happy about that. Seth decides not to dive it in.
Oh, and Brian misses the corner completely.
Yeah, Seth got him to overbrake it there. I mean, even Seth went a little wide there, but, he did a good job, I guess, faking out his opponent.
This is a further back. Marwan Mofta seems to have had an issue here, as they have now William Dunbar coming up behind in the 88. He's going to lose another spot, I think, to Saponsky, now working his way by. Yes, he will.
Yeah, there's damage on the backside of that car. It looks like he had contact with someone, and you can imagine who it is. It was Peter Houston.
Yeah, Houston down into the 11th position.
Yeah, and I'll put the blame again on Houston for that one. He just came off the curbing and pushed wide right into Marwan Mofta, who was minding his own business right there.
Yeah, I think that some of the earlier incidents have kind of just unsettled Peter Houston, and he's just, not the most comfortable here at this track. We'll have to see what we can deduce during the warm-up. We will have about I think it's a 10-minute warm-up here after this race to get drivers more acclimated to what they will feel on the full fuel tank. 45-minute feature race here, and it will be requiring a pit stop as well. So the pit road here, we'll take a look at it at some point. Maybe we'll just watch the first couple of guys when they dive down it. But the pit entry is very technical, very difficult to get right. I think even Blake Reynolds in the chat before the race was asking, hey, how do you get down pit road?
Yeah, very, very difficult pit lane. It's very easy to get it wrong. It's not necessarily the most difficult looking. It's just very tight. And there's a lot of grass, so not a lot of room for mistakes. I'm just thinking, Chad. The appropriate, I think, thing for Peter Houston here would be hit the pace car.
White flag is about to come out, and look at this. The gap for the lead has gone down considerably. They are side by side working their way to turn one. Can Kingsbury hold on to it? He's gotten around the outside of Rabb, and he's going to hold on for the time being.
Yeah, also don't forget now, but Blake Reynolds is there. He's looking to take the move on Sarah Rabb, who looks like she lost considerable amount of pace. She's running 30.8, so not sure if there's a fuel issue.
That's what I'm wondering, is maybe she was trying to get that last lap to be the last one, because she has lost considerable time already. You see the gap over half a second already to Kingsbury, and she's just sitting in the
Yeah,
draft. It has to be a fuel issue
she's
for her.
short. She's short filled. Yep, she's out right now.
Wow.
Just ran out of fuel. She's not making it back to the end here. That is something she's got to learn. Um, you know, you can't short fill the car. There's no need. No need to short fill a car like that.
That's the second time this season she's done it. We're riding on board here. Let's listen in and see if we can't hear. Yeah, she's only getting up to about 4,000 RPM down the straight. So we'll see if she can lose another spot here to Brandon Lambert.
In a race where, honestly, right, an extra gallon of fuel, whatever, an extra lap of fuel isn't going to cost you that much time. I always put an extra lap into the car, so I just think that's good practice. Obviously, there's times when you can't because, you're running it to the number. But when you got, a chance to put a little extra in, I would personally. I always put a little extra in.
Checkered flag is in the air for Ray Kingsbury, taking the win unexpectedly from Blake Reynolds. Sarah Rabb is going to get pipped at the last possible moment by Brandon Lambert. So Lambert takes home the third spot, Rabb in fourth, then Taylor Carroll, then Brokaw. There you see Rawls and Son. It's going to be Rawls winning that duel. Cody Crosby over cross line side by side for Navarre and Peter Houston. That's going to be Navarre Luce taking the 10th spot, and Houston going to start in the 5th position there. As where is the big dog? There he is, coming across the final corner as he finishes 12th in the sprint race. Saponsky 13th, Marwan Mafta, and then Brian Smith going to sit on the pole here for the sprint race. As then it's going to be Kevin Fanning, Josh Mertz, and that's the rest of the field. So let's take a look here. I believe that is incorrect for the order. So we will get you a full starting field rundown here in just a matter of moments. We're going to take a short break. So just enjoy the sounds of these race cars as drivers can just get every last bit of practice in before we get started with the 45-minute feature. And back just in time for some actual racing. Not many drivers taking advantage of that warm-up period. Have to see how that'll impact them being unfamiliar on the full fuel tank. I'm sure actually that's what they practiced more of this week, but it's going to be fun to watch. Warm-up is complete. Getting set here for the feature. It's going to have Smith on pole after that inversion worked out in his favor. Then Marwan Mafta. Then Saponsky and Big Dog on row number 2. Peter Houston, Navarre Luce, Cody Crosgrove, Brian Son, Seth Rolls, Tim Brokaw, Taylor Carroll, and Sarah Rabb starting in the 12th position. Then Brandon Lambert, Blake Reynolds, Ray Kingsbury, the 3 podium finishers from the sprint race, as they are going to start near the back in the feature. And Kevin Fanning, Josh Mertz after his incidents, William Dunbar, Keith Jeffrey, Savian Ragster after his early wreck starts in 20th, and Christian Ost in the Audi wrapping up the field after his turn 1 crash. So going to be fun to watch as we just wait for the rest of the field to join in here. Hopefully everybody put enough fuel in the race car.
Yeah, you gotta hope. I mean, that's another big mistake from Sarah. Thankfully, it didn't cost her but 1 position, well, I guess 3 positions. But yeah, it's not something you want to happen week in, week out. You know, you got to learn from those mistakes, and you can't keep making them. I think my big concern here is a lot of the faster cars we have in the back. You know, Blake Reynolds, Savian Ragster, Christian Ost, Ray Kingsbury. Very narrow track. Going to be interesting to see how quickly they can get through the field here.
Yeah.
As pace car is now going off, and we're preparing for the green flag.
There you see, going early this time is Brian Smith. He didn't want to waste any time, and he is gone with his teammate right behind him as they work their way down towards turn number 1. That's Saponsky there behind him as they were side by side. A huge checkup there. Mafta has to hit the binders, but they continue to be single file, and then running wide there was Brian Smith. I think Brian is just trying to let everybody go, because he is dropping like a rock through the field. He's already down to 3rd, about to lose 4th.
Yeah, looking deep in the field, Ray Kingsbury, Blake Reynolds side by side as they try to get around Brandon Lambert. Sarah Rabb taking a peek on the 2 wide in front of her.
Yeah, that's
Brian Son and Tim Brokaw.
Yeah, Brokaw is doing everything he can to find his way by. They were battling the entire 15-minute sprint, and they're trying to do the same here in the feature. And thinks about 3 wide. Oh, that's tight.
Very close up at the front, too. Seth Rawls moves up to 4th place after near contact with Brian Smith.
And there you see Rab finally able to get by Son. And now works up towards Brokaw. Peeks to the inside. She is there, but the next corner goes back to the right. And they're still dueling side by side. And there's Blake Reynolds trying to follow his way through as well.
Mafta gonna have a huge run down here in the front stretch, I have a feeling. Gets the corner pretty good.
Something's happened to Lambert. He's just lost a ton of positions as he is down now into the 20th position. Wow. So this is Mafta back up at the front. Those are your top 5. Linus Stern with a slight gap back to Crosgrove there in 5th. But right now, Mafta doing everything he can just to find a way by Saponsky and try to build as much of a gap while some of the faster cars still working their way through traffic. There you see Mafta peeking to the inside. Squeeze just a little bit off, losing the apex. Both of them wiggle. I think there might have been some slight contact there with Saponsky, and there's Peter Houston still trying to work his way by.
Good battles up at the front and the back and the middle, everywhere around here. Did take a look at the incident between that Brandon Lambert was involved in, and it looked like a bit of net code, so not really much anyone could do there.
Mafta, the big loser there, going from 2nd back to 4th in just 1 corner, getting overtaken by both Rawls and Houston. And Brandon Lambert looks like he is jumping all over my timing screen right now, but I think that he is, still settled in up into about 17th for now. Ragster up from 20th up to 18th already. He's having some issues. Sarah Rabb, She had an issue. She has. She is all the way back down in the 19th position. She worked her way from 14th to 10th, and now she's further back down once again.
Looks like she had no contact in that one. Just got a little loose going into, I don't know, I think the third corner. And it is a place where the car is a little bit on edge because you are trail braking into that corner. So she just lost it. No one hit her, so she's able to carry on.
There's her peeking her nose in on Savian Ragster, and she has to get her foot to the floor and everything you can. That's that was a Christian Ostia going around. He just lost the back end, so he's going to work his way out of the gravel. Looking here, this is further up. This is Reynolds all over the back of the big dog.
Contact behind them is it looked like Kingsbury and Brokaw made contact. Not sure if there's any significant damage on either of those cars, but they look pretty clean.
And there you see to the inside of the 52 goes Blake Reynolds, and he's now worked his way up into the 8th spot. Brian Smith, the next car for him to try to hunt down, and back behind there is Kingsbury running a little bit wide, but he is going to dispatch of Kieran Forrest easily.
Oh, big check up in front of them.
Oh, and that's cars weaving all over the straightaway there. That was a bit of that accordion effect that you might see in NASCAR. Brokaw lose a ton of time from it, and he's going to get passed by 2, make that all is going to be 3. No, still 2 cars with Brian Son peeking to the outside now.
It looked like that was Peter Houston that had issues that Brian Smith and Blake Reynolds had to dodge, so good heads up by them to get around that, but Houston making the move down on Brian Smith now. So, into turn 1, gets it done. Ray Kingsbury also looking, Brian Smith looking very slow in the straightaway here.
There you see Kingsbury working his way around. Now that's Houston, the next car for him. They were similar on pace. I think that Kingsbury had a bit of the faster car. He, of course, was the winner of the sprint race here tonight. So he continues to work his way around. So right now, Saponsky still out in front, and that's about 0.6 of a second over Seth Rawls. Cody Crosgrove then a second back. Definitely going to be some interesting battles here. This is going to be a close one here. This is, I think, this is one of the closer groupings of cars up at the front. That's actually, this is a look at Cody Crosgrove here and Marwan Mafta there in that blue and red Porsche.
Yeah, Cody's been the faster of this group here. I think he worked his way back from a little deeper in the field, so doing a pretty good job.
Sarah continues to work her way up through the field, up now to 16th after her spin earlier. Kevin Fanning has gotten by Kieran Forrest as well. Definitely just a couple of cars shuffling back and forth. We'll go up here. This is Kieran Forrest and Kevin Fanning diving down the final couple of corners, but not getting the launch off of it was Kieran, so Fanning takes that one clear, and he sets sights with a big gap up in front to Ray Kingsbury. And just look at how close all of these drivers are. There's Sarah Rabb peeking her nose out of line further on back. And she's on the inside of Brian Son now.
Oh, contact in the rear. Josh
and
Mertz
that's
around.
Josh Mertz around. And I think that just about everybody else was able to get by cleanly. But I think that's basically the same thing that we saw. This is a look at the replay.
Yeah,
and
just...
Oh, yeah, just not expecting Brian Son to be there on the outside. I think that was, for the most part, negligible contact between the two of them. But Mertz comes out the loser there.
Yeah, there's nothing Brian could have done there. Nothing Josh really could have done there. Brian just all of a sudden kind of appeared because he had a slight mistake on the corner entry. So, just a lose-lose for both of them there as they get together.
Change at the front of the field. Seth Rawls now out in front, and now that he's gotten by Saponsky, he's trying to just find a way to break away as Crosgrove peeks his nose to the inside of Saponsky. He's not close enough to do anything there. But he continues just to fight and fight and fight. And these front three, if these guys keep battling, that's going to just clear the way for Rawls to just start putting down some flyers.
Yeah, we also see Cody Crosgrove manage to get the job done there as they make slight contact. Saponsky manages to keep a hold of the car and keep it on the track, but that's going to let Taylor Carroll go by and Blake Reynolds.
You know, so Rawls, Cosgrove, Carroll. Now Reynolds is up there. That's that General Tires red and white machine, and he's up into 4th already. The next car that was with him in the sprint race is Ray Kingsbury. He's all the way back in the 8th spot. There you see the red and yellow machine, a couple of cars back with Peter Houston in the middle of them.
Yeah, it looks like he's struggling to get around Peter. I think Peter's not that slow, obviously, of a driver, but he is quite aggressive. So I wonder if Ray's just taking it, easy, letting him do the, letting him be the tip of the spear, so to speak.
Yeah, it's something that we see all the time over in the karting world, and trying to make the same here in the touring series. Kingsbury looks like he's trying to go around the outside. They are side by side, almost some contact there. Kingsbury on the inside. Door, quarter, can't quite get clear yet with the inside. He does. Now he's got
fantastic move.
Yeah, he set that one up a couple corners ago. Able to just keep enough alongside so he can. And that was Peter Houston fighting back on the left side. Inside, though, once again, favors Kingsbury. The next car up in line is Marwan Mafta. That's a not a direct teammate, but a partnership car to Ray Kingsbury, with then Houston not really having too many friends, I don't believe, on his team. I can't remember which team he is racing for, but definitely going to be interesting to watch. As there you see Mafta peeking his nose out on Saponsky. He's going to go a long way around.
I don't think Ray Kingsbury's going to wait here. He's going to take Marwan Mafta's spot away from him with that mistake there. But he's got to be careful because he's got right behind him a very, very hungry Peter Houston.
Yeah, so there you see Kingsbury peeking up the inside, up through the S's. And they're still side by side, very wide. Then goes Mafta, still side by side with Houston, though. And they're going to continue to be side by side. Mafta has the advantage down the straightaway for now. But they're still all nose to tail. Houston tucks back in the line, then peeks to the inside. He's going to try to do something under braking. Kingsbury tries to cover it off. And there you see Saponsky has been dispatched by Kingsbury. He put up a very solid fight, so I don't think he's just going to give anything over to Peter Houston once Houston gets to him. And there you see Saponsky going around on his own. So disregard everything I just said as we continue to look. Saponsky continuing to drop spots. He's finally back underway.
Yeah, Ray Kingsbury made contact with Saponsky there, and obviously I think that was, unfortunately I didn't know he was there. Maybe he got a little loose. So bad luck for Daniel. He was doing a nice job there, hanging on to a few spots.
So Kingsbury now up to 5th. Reynolds currently sitting 2nd spot, and he is down the front straightaway looking to find a way around. He's going to be alongside diving into turn 1. I think Reynolds is going to have this move done and dusted. He does before they even get to the corner.
Yeah, very nice move by Blake Reynolds there. Made it look kind of easy. I think if you're Ray Kingsbury, you gotta put the foot down because you need to get through this traffic. Blake's not a slouch, especially over a long distance of racing. So I think if you're Ray, you got to start moving.
And Marwan Mafta continuing to fight Peter Houston there. He's running the wire line through that corner. He's so far to the outside. He gets a great launch off the corner, and he's going to be able to clear off Houston once again down the back straightaway. And I think the interesting thing for me from a strategy perspective is if you're Peter Houston, you've tried that move twice going to the outside there, and it didn't work. He finally gets by, but I was going to say, if you tried that move to the inside twice, and with the launch off the corner, Mafta's been able to get it right back. So now that he's gotten that move done, I think that he just needs to work his way around and try to get back up to Ray Kingsbury about 1.5 seconds up the road.
Yeah, Ray Kingsbury needs to get moving also to get Blake Reynolds, obviously, but change at the front there, 2nd place. Cody Crosgrove went 2nd place there over Seth Rawls and got the job done.
Yeah, that complex SimWorks machine there, that Ferrari 488 GT3 of Cody Crosgrove. Solid, it's good-looking car as he continues to try to just at least maintain contact with Blake Reynolds. About 1 second now, the gap between them. And I think that we're going to start to see Reynolds just drive away with it. The one thing that's going to be fun to watch, though, once we get to that pit stop, once that window's open, is Blake Reynolds really struggled with pit entry here in practice. So we mentioned that one earlier, but how is he going to do once we get to that pit stop? This is Kingsbury right on the back wing of Carroll. Goes to the inside. That move has not worked. We haven't seen it work yet. He sits back in line about a car length between himself and Taylor Carroll. That's Seth Rawls, the 125, just in front of them.
Looks like he's able to get the draft down there, and he's going to send it on. Taylor Carroll gets the job done. Was thinking about possibly taking Seth Rawls, but thought better of it.
Yeah, I think he was well too far back to even consider that move legitimately, but still able to get up now to the 4th spot, and he's right there behind Rawls. He's going to peek to the inside here. The issue is going to be if he doesn't get clear, the track crosses back over to the left, but he does not get clear yet. So still side by side coming through the final couple of corners. 2 right-hand turns to get to the front straightaway, but looks like Kingsbury has him clear, so he's up into 3rd. He's got 2 seconds now to catch up to Cody Crosgrove. There you see them up the road just a little bit.
Yeah, I got the job done, and Blake Reynolds running 28.8 there for that last lap time. Ray Kingsbury tracking at 29.5, so definitely lost a little time there. But both drivers, both of them hit 28-second lap times, so it should be interesting to see who's able to pick up pace here in the longer run.
Yeah, just a freight train of cars back behind them as they continue just to swarm around this track. I mean, you've got all within about a second of each other. You go from about 3rd down to, I'd say, 11th with Kieran Forrest is the next large gap in the field. Just about everybody's within a couple tenths.
Yeah, there's battles all over the place here. We're definitely missing, quite a bit because there's just so much action happening. And there's Daniel Saponsky's night has gone, unfortunately, a lot worse. He got loose in turn 3, same place that Sarah Rabb got loose, and backed it into the outside fence.
Here's Brian Son side by side with Tim Brokaw. They battled the entire 15-minute sprint, and they're going back at it once again here in the feature. We still have half an hour of this to see between these two. And it looks like there's some nose damage to Brokaw as well.
Driver that's not doing so well, I'd say, is Savian Raxter. Not sure what's happened to him in this feature, but the car looks clean, so I'd expect more from him, but he's got a few lap times that are quite slow, so I'm guessing he had a few spins.
Yeah, so there you see him all the way back down in the 18th position. That car he's working on now is William Dunmar, the Shift Esports machine. Teammates, of course, with Seth Rawls in the 125. So they're further down towards the back of the field. So this is Brandon Lambert up here, that green, that I guess teal and red 46, that Complex Simworks car. He is right behind Kevin Fanning, trying to find a way by. And then he's got Marwan Mafta up in front of him.
Brandon's done a good job to recover here. He's got a chance that he's in 9th right now, and he can still finish up in 4th place. That's what you see ahead of him. So, very nice job to recover from the early incident.
And that's Peter Houston. They're peeking out of line. Still can't get by Seth Rawls, losing a ton of time. He was just behind Ray Kingsbury not more than a couple of laps ago, but he struggled to get by Mafta. Now he's struggling to get by Rawls. And he's lost a considerable bit of time there to Ray Kingsbury.
Well, he is getting up to cars that are a little faster, a little harder to pass, so not a surprise that he's struggling quite as much.
Yeah, so Tim Brokaw looks like he just finally was passed by Brian Son. He's trying to fight back, though. Can't do it. Son is clear. So that moved for the 12th spot. A couple other close battles. We'll go back up here to Sarah Rabb. She is right on the back of Brandon Lambert now. Lambert's lost touch a little bit with Kevin Fanning, that next car, up the road. So Rabb has had a couple of struggles here, but, it just can't seem to catch a break this season. I remember last week, or 2 weeks ago, her wheel just disconnected and her VR went out mid-race, so... her USB hub, I would assume, just reset mid-race. So she lost steering, lost control, and still recovered for a second-place finish. But she's now in 10th after some struggles early on. It's Peter Houston now, once again, peeking on the inside of Seth Rawls. Can't do it there. Very composed under braking from Seth Rawls, and he's got that confidence under him now. I think it might have taken him a little bit to get his feet under him, but he's now off and running in that 125.
Yeah, Seth and I had a discussion about his race car, and he said it was a little too loose off, so he actually ended up backing the rear anti-roll bar down one click to help it with the traction off, and it looks like it's paid off for him as he's able to get power down a lot better, but he does look a little tight.
Yeah, and typically, we're used to seeing the AM class winner in this series be about, 5th, 6th, or 7th, which is right where Rawls is running. But tonight, instead, he is, I believe, not even close. No, actually, I was mistaken. Yeah, Cody Crosgrove winning the championship last season was actually promoted up to the pro class. So, yeah, so he is the AM class leader for now. But there you see a couple of drivers fighting hard right behind him. Sarah Rabb comes down pit lane, so her strategy is done. She's going to take the fuel, lose a ton of time, but she's going to hopefully get it back with some clean racetrack.
Yeah, clean racetrack. Also, big battle here in the mid-pack. Brandon Lambert had gotten around Kevin Fanning, but Kevin Fanning has fought back and is not going to give it up. Also, it looks like side-by-side for Peter Houston and Seth Rawls.
And that's just up in front of these guys. So Rab makes her pit stop 12.5 in the box. We'll have to compare that to some other drivers. And I think that might be a little short once again.
I think she'll be all right for this one. We'll have to see. The fuel is very close this season with it being a 45-minute race. And I think we got about, 25 minutes left or so?
Yep.
So it's going to be tight. I wouldn't have cut it this tight, but I think she should be okay.
Yeah, 50% fuel tanks here. The only race that we will have a more expanded fuel tank is the endurance race at Spa coming up in a couple of weeks. And I believe that's a 2-hour race. So it's going to be a fun one to watch. Maybe we'll crack open a couple brewskis and just have a more chill night with it, because it's going to be a fun one for sure.
Oh, definitely, and I think with Spa, I'm going to have a few Belgians.
So this is looking still at Peter Houston. You see him coming up on the 10 of Taylor Carroll, and Carroll, he's holding on to that spot for quite some time. He finally got passed by Ray Kingsbury, and Kingsbury now has got his sight set on Cody Crosgrove. He's about just under a second now back behind him. Some other drivers now starting to make their pit stops, including Brandon Lambert and Tim Brokaw. So those two along with Rab are now the only three to take their pit stops. So the window, I think is definitely open, and Rab's pit stop time is right on par with just about everybody else.
Yeah, looking at their lap times here, also top three are very close, all within a tenth. Cody Crosgrove being just under a tenth, but Ray Kingsbury the fastest. Then it's Blake Reynolds, and then Cody Crosgrove. So very nice times at the front here. But if Ray Kingsbury wants to catch Blake Reynolds, he's going to need a little more than half a tenth a lap.
So who's the next down pit road? We have our answer. That's Kevin Fanning, working his way into the box. So he is stopped. He's going to lose a couple of spots, it looks like, as there you see Brian Song working his way down the front stretch. Christian Ost right behind him. Fanning now drops down to about the 12th spot and continues to fall. So he might end up around 16th or 17th when all said and done. Longer stop for him, 14.3 in the box, as he's now working his way off of pit road.
Yeah, a lot of guys getting their stops done early here, hoping for clean track to make a difference. I like the strategy idea here. It's definitely a track where, with it being so narrow, that you can get jammed up behind someone. So taking fuel, might be able to help you break that gap and just run a little bit faster with a clean line and clean air. Peter Houston around, he's out of the race. He smashed the inside wall. Marwan Mafta does a great job to avoid that.
And that's a very weird place to lose. Let's take a look here. We'll go to the chase cam to see what happened. Yeah, just full throttle, dipped his tires into the dirt, the nose straight into the concrete barrier, and that unfortunately is going to end his day. So that's it for Peter Houston. Blake Reynolds, though, still up in the front as we go back to live picture. Does not elect to go down pit road this time.
Also appears that, unfortunately, I don't know if Marwan Mafta did get away scotch-free with that one. You saw a little bump there when you were watching on board. And there is a slight wrinkle on Marwan's car on the front end. But he's down pit lane right now, going very, very slow.
And so he works his way down towards his box. It's going to be towards the front end of pit road because of where he started this race. And so there you see him. There you see the car with a bunch of damage of Peter Houston. And that car has seen better days.
Yeah, he'd been running that line on the grass there, pushing it for a while. And that's fine if you're going straight on the accelerator with the traction control. But if you're in it all, sideways like he was, you're going to lose it.
This is Rab up now into the 12th position. That's Josh Mertz right behind her. Mertz yet to, of course, make his pit stop.
And it looks like quite a long stop for Marwan Mafta, so unfortunately for him, I think he's going to be out of this race.
Yeah, probably.
I'll have to wait and see. He is rolling again, so maybe I'm wrong. You have to check the pit delta time for me.
Yeah, it was about 20 or so seconds longer than anybody else, 38.1 on the gun. But I think a part of that was just some necessary damage repairs after that slight bit of contact. Kingsbury, by the way, has gotten by Cosgrove, and now they're working their way around some lap traffic. Blue flags there for, I believe that was Saponsky. So they continue just to track around here. 3 seconds now from Blake Reynolds to Ray Kingsbury.
Josh Mertz diving off the track to take a pit entrance. He's going to free up Brandon Lambert to set some fast laps.
Yeah, this pit road, we just saw Mertz taken. It was very tricky because you have to dive down so early, but there's a hard right turn that's down a hill, and it just can definitely catch you out.
Yeah, so far, though, the racing here has been absolutely fantastic, and I've enjoyed every bit of it. How about you, Chad?
Yeah, it's been a fun one because, there's just so many close battles, and it's a track that a lot of drivers are familiar with here in iRacing. People are very comfortable with it, and just they know how it's going to race. These cars may be a little wider than what they're used to driving here, but at the same time, they are so much fun here around this track. Reynolds elects not to pit once again. So he's gonna have.
Kind of reminds me of short track racing in NASCAR. Except for it's road course. It's a bull ring of sorts.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it, especially if we were to run the short layout where, instead of you come through, I think turn 2, and instead of going back to the left, you just make a hard right turn. So it's definitely a very fun layout with the short layout. But we were running the full one because these are the big boy cars. They get the big boy track. As there is Taylor Carroll now pitting from the 3rd position. Or sorry, from the 4th position.
Yeah, we also just saw, at least I saw, Kieran Forrest got around Navarro Luque there. So nice pass by him to get that job done.
Yeah, Sarah Rabb going to come around and get clear of Taylor Carroll. So she is slowly working her way up now into the 10th spot. I think that's a pretty smart decision by her when she made her stop because she is the first car that has pitted. And she is now 40 seconds behind Blake Reynolds. And that's only, I think, going to come down as she can push here to the end. Definitely
Yeah, she was.
To watch the deltas.
She was behind Brandon Lambert by about 2 or 3 car lengths when she came down. And if you look, you can see Brandon coming over the hill now. So obviously a good move from her to get down early. No doubt that her and Brandon were faster than the cars in front of them. So to make that dive down was probably a smart move.
Yeah, you're going to be on pit road about 30, maybe a little longer, 30 seconds. Going to be interesting to see how close Rab can get. Still staying out though. This is you saw that little access road off to the right there that Reynolds was going by. That's where you make that hard right turn. Who's going to work their way now down pit road? I think that's Ragster. That is, as well as Luce. There you see that just crest the hill down to the right, and then the pit timeline doesn't start till that yellow cone over there on the right. So that's where you have to be slowed down to pit road speed, and it looks like both Luce and Ragster able to do that.
Yeah, if my math says right, it's gonna be pretty close here. You know, any driver that can start picking up the pace right now has a chance to win it between Sarah, Ray, and uh, and Blake. I think either one of those three could have a shot here, especially if the pit stop, which we're about to see from Ray and Blake, is longer than we expect.
And I think Ray is just kind of playing follow the leader with his pit strategy, as continuing to stay out is Blake, and Ray does the same.
I think as long as you have clean track, if your car is well balanced and lighter fuel, I think you gotta stay out because that's as fast as it's gonna be.
The car working down towards pit lane. That was very fast. That's Cody Crosgrove. I think he got woed up in time, but he was very fast around that corner onto the pit straight. Oh, big wiggle there from Christian Oss, catching some of the grass before going through the final corner. Now working his way down to the front straight. He's going to pit Cody Crosgrove, but he is yet to make his stop. Brian Son now down pit road as well. And where's the big dog? Big dog has had an issue. Is that Sarah Rab there as well? Something has happened with Rab. Let's see here. So she lost the back end, but just in front of her at the same time, that wasn't Lambert, was that Forrest? It was. We'll take one more look here and see what happens to Kieran. Oh, he just oversteered. I think that caused Rab to miss her braking point and let the back end step out for her. So, now that Rab has had her issue, she is now still going to be behind Brandon Lambert, who's already made his stop, as well as Cody Crosgrove, who's now in the fourth spot. Ray Kingsbury, though, is down pit lane, so we'll have to see where he cycles out and where Sarah Arab is. So she's got still a couple more slow corners to go. And I don't think she's not going to have a shot at getting up to Kingsbury.
I still think it was the right call to come down early. She definitely jumped that group, and it's paying off for her. Although, is that Brandon Lambert now ahead of her? Something must have happened to her because Brandon was behind her.
Yeah, we just saw a moment ago. She lost the back end going through the final corner as Kieran Forrest had. He pushed wide. He took the corner too deep, and that made her miss her braking mark, so she ended up losing the back end. So she did lose a little bit of time. No contact for her, I don't believe, but Big Dog did catch the outside wall.
Well, obviously I must have zoned out while I was watching some other details, trying to find a battle on the field. So thank you for picking that up.
I mean, we went back and watched replays and everything, but no problem. This is Keith Jeffrey now. He's working his way back towards now through the hairpin. And now into a quick left-hander. I think that he's going to have to make his pit stop here as Blake Reynolds now works his way down pit road. Now the question is, where is Kingsbury? Here he is. So we'll keep an eye and see where he cycles out. As now Kingsbury needs to push. Where can he cycle through? The pit stop for Blake is a little bit longer, about 0.4 of a second longer, but he is now out of his box, and see where he cycles in. So here's Reynolds, still now with those green cones, mean he can get back up to full speed. And there's Kingsbury, so not much of a change in the interval between the two of them. Kingsbury did pick up about half a second down the lane.
Yeah, they're about dead even going in on the in-lap. Ray picked up maybe a 10th there, but in the box, so maybe about a second gained, I would say.
Yeah, so Rab, by the way, cycled out to the 5th spot, and I think without her little spin, she'd be at least in front of Lambert, if not in front of Crosgrove. So that's where she sits for the time being. She's got 2.5 seconds or so up to it's Brandon Lambert, who is your AM class leader. And there's a look at him working his way around. 12.5 minutes left to go here. 2/3 of the race gone by. And this is an interesting battle. It's been going on for a couple laps. This is Keith Jeffrey and Navar Luce. They're in working their way around through some of these more high-speed corners, working their way down through the S's now.
Definitely a great battle. Also, another good battle is Josh Mertz and Marwan Mafta. I think Mafta's issue might have been he left tires on, is what I'm hearing. But Josh defending down the front stretch like his life depends on it, was breaking the draft and everything.
Yeah, the thing for Mafta, though, is if he's got the fresher tires, he should have an advantage in terms of cornering speed, but he just can't find a way to get past Mertz.
You say that, but if he only took 2 tires or
yeah,
1 tire, it could have thrown the balance of the car off.
So I believe 40 seconds might be a little bit short for 4. I can't remember the full pit time, but looks like Brian Smith has had an instance where he's been in his box for quite some time. He's been there over 2 minutes now, 3 laps down. So up at the front, though, something happened at Crosgrove. Something happened to Crosgrove as well. No, Sarah seems to be doing. Oh, she has some damage.
It was a quick spin. She spun out the last corner by clipping the grass and hit the wall at the rear end, but basically did a spin and win.
This is look at what happens to Cody Crosgrove. What just under braking, back end comes around, clips the inside curbing.
It's not too bad. Just he's gonna lose a little time from that, and obviously had trouble getting going with trying not to hit the wall.
Yeah, so he got back pointed in the right direction. Then you see Sarab. Yeah, she's got that rear wing damage now, and she just can't catch a break this season.
That happened the lap prior, obviously coming into the start-finish line. She got under the grass, lost the rear end, and then overcorrected it right into the wall, unfortunately.
We saw her drive a damaged car to a second-place finish last week. She's now about just over a second behind Cody Crosgrove with 10 minutes remaining. So now it's her job to work her way up. Now cutting into that gap, and you see her sitting now in slipstream range. I wanted to say DRS range, but we're saving that for Formula One this Sunday.
Yeah, really looking forward to that race. The last weekend's race was fantastic. You know, F1's put a much better product on the table.
Oh, but Rab lost it again. Wow, that was hard contact that time. That was just a weird place to lose it as well.
Could be that her car, with the damage she has, she's just not able to feel it. It looked like the rear end slipped a little bit.
Oh,
and then
she got that
she
gravel.
dropped the tire.
Yeah, got that gravel on the right side, unfortunately. Significant damage now to the front end of that car.
She's carrying on, though. I don't know what the Audi's made out of, but it must be titanium or something.
Yeah, she was about 5 miles an hour, or sorry, kilometers an hour off at the end of that straightaway, so definitely some speed impact, but she, fortunately for her, has about 4 seconds back to Kevin Fanning, so hopefully she's able to hold on to it.
5 kmh with a car that looks like that, I'll take it.
This is your leader, Blake Reynolds, once again, and that's the gap. That's how close it is. Can Kingsbury close them up? These two were teammates for the 6 rounds of MTech. A power slide there from Kingsbury. Lost a couple of tenths, but he's still right there. They were teammates for the MTech series. They won the overall championship there, and they did a heck of a job throughout that season, winning with multiple wins, and they ended up on the top step at the end of the season. It was a fantastic bit of driving from them. So these guys are 13 seconds clear of Brandon Lambert. Wow.
Yeah, and with only 8 seconds left, Ray just closed down 3/10 that last lap. So this battle is red hot. Also, don't forget, they just finished out a championship battle in the IndyCar series. I may have helped Blake there, to defeat Ray. So Blake's right now got the cutting edge on the two. Ray wants to make the championship tally even.
Yeah, so this is Tim Brokaw right behind Keith Jeffrey, and this is closest grouping of cars because that car right behind the 91 is Savian Ragster. That's for position as well. All 5 of these cars are.
Yeah, some fantastic racing. Savian doing a nice job to recover. I don't know if he's on the same strategy or anything like that. I don't know when he last made his pit stop, but he's done a nice job to recover.
He pit 5 laps later than Brokaw, but he pit 3 laps earlier than Keith Jeffrey. So he's right in the middle of those two in terms of strategy. Navarluce pit the same lap as Ragster. That's that next car behind.
Yeah, that's a great job of saving, because when I last looked, he was having a hard go of it, and he had a lot of, I don't know if it was spins, but a few laps where he lost 10 seconds. So without those, car ran right in front of him, Christian Ost.
Wow. Let's take a look at that replay one more time, because that was an interesting place for him to lose. Yeah, just, the back end going up the hill stepped out, and then oversteering on the correction. You really have to be more careful than that on your rejoins, Christian. And then you see him. I thought that he almost lost the back end. He just cut the curving just a little too tight there. So maybe not the best of rejoins, but eek.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything really wrong with the rejoin. It just, unfortunately, with the TC and the way all that works, it kicked it sideways. So had he not lost it, it would have been a fantastic rejoin. But we look up here and we see, Keith Jeffrey's under fire here from right away. Savian Ragster also looking. And at the front, that gap still continuing to drop. Ray Kingsbury, slight mistake that last lap, but this lap looks like he's closed the gap a little bit.
Yeah, and there you see Ost trying to get back by Brokaw. Can you do it? Yes, Brokaw very gentle on the brakes, and Savian Ragster door-to-door, almost some contact between the two of them there. Ragster follows him through. So not the best complex of corners there for Tim Brokaw, losing 2 spots to both Ost and Ragster.
Yeah, and Lambert got around Crossgroves for third place there. I'm not sure if Cody had a spin. Did we catch that before?
I'm not sure. Maybe we did. I think he had something happen, but yeah.
That's right, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Did have a spin.
That's a huge gap, so yeah.
So much going on, I forgot about that. And the gap at the front still going down, actually. Ray Kingsbury picked up another 4/10, it looks like, over this lap. So definitely going to have a battle for the race win here. This is going to get really interesting.
Josh Merckx, it looks like, has parked it for the day. He is down, and I believe he's out of the server. Yes, he is. So his race has come to an end. He's going to, I think, end up in the 19th position, as he's still 6 laps clear of Brian Smith. So that's where he is going to end up, only losing 1 spot to William Dunbar. This is the gap for the overall lead, and it's kind of yo-yoing there consistently, though, at about 1 second.
Yeah, he was a little further back. I think they're both trying to find that little bit extra, and they make a slight mistake, and they give up 3 or 4/10. So I think it's whoever can find that consistent notch just to put the pressure on the other one is going to be the one to close the gap or extend the gap. So we'll have to see. I personally, in this situation, I think I'd rather be the one following. I always do better when I'm following.
And there you see the gap now on the timing is under 1 second between them. Definitely in the slipstream now. Flashing his lights, but trying to force a mistake. I don't think that's going to work on a driver like Blake Reynolds, but might as well give it a shot anyway. Through the hairpin. And now back down to the left. And Kingsbury doing everything he can. A little bit of the gravel there. That cost him about 1/10. And very wide there. And that's going to cost him even more time. That might have been his opportunity gone. He's still got 3 minutes to do it.
Like I said, I think whoever's the one that blinks first, so to speak, makes that mistake, and I think Blake's managed to make Ray find his limit. With that gap being as big as it is, Ray did need to not make mistakes there. If he could have kept it flawless the last 2 laps, he definitely would have closed up. But good job by Blake there to put the pressure on Ray and not concede himself with some mistakes.
Sarah Rabb gone around once again. So from bad to worse for her than across the track in front, and she has got more contact now. That right front is bent in as well. So that car now dropping down to the 8th spot, and unfortunately, her chances of any sort of a solid finish have gone out the window.
Yeah, she's struggled. I mean, she's one of the fastest drivers in this championship for sure. There's no question about that. Her talent is unquestionable, but lack of experience maybe in these GT3 cars coming back to haunt her.
There's 2 minutes left on the watch. Gap up front, still about a second. Go a little further back, though. This is Savian Ragster all over the back wing. That rear view mirror has to be full for Keith Jeffrey, and he is right there. Savian doing everything he can to just find a way by. I believe we're going to have 2 laps to go here. We got 2 minutes left and a minute and a half laps. So, that was
the battle
close.
at the front is closing up. Ray Kingsbury down to 0.6 of a second roughly there. And I don't know if it's too little too late, but he might get a look at him.
Yeah, I think he might have one opportunity if he can close the gap here.
We're going to have, I think, maybe 2 laps to go. It's going to depend on when he takes the white flag here. I think it's going to be...
It's going to be close.
One more.
What does
So they're not going to have
say?
enough time to make one more lap.
That is the white flag. There you see him, Barty on the background, waving that white flag for all his might, and that's going to be one more opportunity around here for Ray Kingsbury. Try to get something done on Blake Reynolds. That gap definitely closing down. As you see it, they're down to 6. More lights flashing into the shadows. Closer and darker into the evening we get, but we will finish here under the sun. A big wiggle there from Kingsbury. Doesn't lose too much time out of it, though, as he continues just to close that gap.
In fact, he's closing in the straightaway, so definitely the slipstream giving him a little bit of advantage.
He is right there.
Dig under the brakes there. He's going to be right there within half a second.
Only got one more real solid passing opportunity to get this done. And it's going to be this next corner here, unless he gets a fantastic launch to the line, but I don't think he's going to have the opportunity to do it.
I think Blake Reynolds has done a great job here to defend and manage the gap, but one more lap, we might have another story on our hands. Great drive by both of these drivers. Blake Reynolds is going to come through the last corner here under pressure from Ray Kingsbury.
And Kingsbury fighting hard all the way out to the gravel. But that's going to be it here from Okayama, with Blake Reynolds taking victory. Not close, or not far behind, though, was Ray Kingsbury. So Blake Reynolds, then Ray Kingsbury. Big gap here. Back to Brandon Lambert, now working his way off the final corner. We're going to jump back, though. This is Savian Ragster. Thought about making the move there on Keith Jeffrey, and he went around, so he's going to get things going, losing one position. That's to Navarre Luce. We'll take one more look at that real quick, because this was an interesting move. Diving down on the binders. And I think that Jeffrey didn't give him the room.
Yeah, I think Savian's got the move, set up there. He's got to give him room. Taylor Carroll finishes 5th place. Cody Crossgrove 4th. Brandon Lambert 3rd. Kevin Fanning is finished 6th. 7th place, great drive by him, is Brian Son.
And Sarah Rabb celebrating in style. She crosses the line and into the wall.
Yeah, I think that was appropriate for that car. It's a write-off.
Yeah, junk it. It's junk anyway. So Keith Jeffrey then in the 10th spot. Then Navarre, then Savian. Oh, and he pins it up on the wall. Finish with the wheelie, baby. So then Marwan.
I think a lot of frustrated drivers tonight. Even though we thought it was a fantastic race, pretty clean. There was, some instances of contact. But all in all, I was very pleased by the racecraft shown tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to take about a 30-second or so break and try to give these guys time to catch their breath. We'll have a couple quick interviews before we wrap things up here from round 3 of the Penguin RC Sports Car Challenge. And back here doing his victory donuts is Blake Reynolds and Brandon Lambert out there with him. These guys having some fun with it. Might as well, right? That's your pro and your AM class winner. Almost some contact with the Doughies. But that was a fantastic bit of racing between them. So let's go ahead here and see if we can't catch up with the winner of our feature. And that's going to be Blake Reynolds. Blake, the donuts look absolutely fantastic. How do they taste?
Good.
It was a fantastic, fantastic bit of racing from you. You had to work your way up through the field once again. You getting used to these inverts yet?
Yeah, that one was one of the easier ones. I didn't feel like I really pushed it too hard, that one. Previous rounds, I feel like I definitely rushed getting through the field way more, making little bits of contact, being less timid. But this time I just placed my car wherever there was a gap. I just kind of let myself float into holes as they opened up, and that ended up working because everyone around me kind of passed me right at the start, like Ray and Sarah and Brandon and all them. They all passed me and kind of ran away a bit for the first 2 laps, and then I just I don't know, just placed my car better, made my way through, got around the slower traffic, and was able to break away.
It's our first time here in the series at Okayama. What were your thoughts on the track?
Not the biggest fan. I mean, it feels like a short track in a way. But I guess almost all Japanese tracks in a way feel like a short track. You have to be real patient. And this is one of those tracks where you have to be real patient, and there's a certain flow to it. It's fun to drive like by itself, but I'm not sold on racing yet, not completely. So, yeah, it was just a fun race overall.
Next time we're out here is the endurance event of the season at Spa. You looking forward to that one?
Love Spa, and I love this car at Spa. I've raced this Mercedes in the Spa 24 probably 3 or 4 times. So I'm looking forward to it. It's like my track with this car, so everyone better watch out.
Yeah, it was a fantastic bit of driving from you. Anybody you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, Jim Bieber Esports. Did you see we had a second car tonight? Keith Jeffrey.
He showed up.
He showed up. Yep, showed up. And he had a solid run, I tell you. Didn't get an invert at all and still got 10 after getting wrecked in the heat. So, shout out to him. Shout out to our partners, General Tire, Vision Wheel, oh God. I'm so bad at this. There's another one on the car. Fistful of Bourbon.
Next Level Racing.
Next Level Racing, that's the one.
You're welcome.
Thank you, my partners and Jim Bieber's partners, and Keith. Shout out for running good, and shout out to everyone at NASA for putting this on. It's a lot of fun. And Brian Sohn with Penguin RC.
Yeah, it was a great drive from you, and congratulations on another victory.
Yes, thank you.
That's Blake Reynolds, your overall winner, and we got a party up here in the booth right now. But we'll go down to our AM class winner, Brandon. What a drive!
Thank you.
I mean, just talk about your race a little bit, because it looked like you had some fun trying to work your way up from that 13th with the invert.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened with me and Brian, but I guess I caught his left rear coming out of the second hairpin, and that kind of put me all the way in the back of the field, and I had to work my way up from like 19th or 20th through the entire field. And I was able to pick him off pretty quick, and then once I got caught up to Fanning, it felt like I was stuck behind a bus. And so I saw Sarah pit the lap before me, and I was like, oh, that was a great idea. So the very next lap I pitted, and I pipped a lot of the people in the field and was able to get over Fanning and Rawls and Taylor. So that was the right call for me. And then I was able just to set sail.
Yeah, was having some clean racetrack just a big benefit for you?
Oh yeah, the car was absolutely hooked up. I worked really hard on this setup for this week, so it really showed its strength once I got out from everybody and was starting to pull away from everybody that was in front of me at the beginning of the feature. But towards the end, I was able to pull away from them and put a big gap on the rest of the field.
You're going to have to hit the gym a little bit this week. We got the endurance race next time around. You looking forward to the longer event?
Yeah, that should be a lot of fun. I know it's going to take a lot of fortitude and concentration to make it 2 hours. Spa has not been my best friend, but I do love the racetrack, so I'm hoping it's kind to me this time, and we can get a good finish there.
Yeah, the car's looking good as always. Got some sponsors on there you got to talk about.
Oh yeah, first off, Christian Oast and Complex End Works for sponsoring the car this season. Amazing guy, amazing little company he's got going, and I love his logo, and it fits perfect with our Last Lap Motorsport scheme this season. So big shout out to him and 90 Something Studios, my buddy Brett, and his videography, and just the LML crew. We constantly work together and try to help each other out, get faster each and every week, and I love being a part of this group.
Well, hey, congratulations on the class win, and best of luck next week at Spa.
Thank you very much.
That's Brandon Lambert, your AM class winner. And one final interview on the night, that's Ray Kingsbury, who finished second here to Blake Reynolds, and looks like you had a shot at him at the end.
Yeah, I definitely had a shot at him. I don't know if I would have passed him. Blake's a heck of a driver to pass, but it was fun. Car was really nice. It was super good on the brakes. I was under driving it most of the night into the braking zones, but put on the hard charge a little at the end and made up some ground. And I don't know. I think we probably could have got there, but we made some mistakes, and it is what it is. I mean, come out second after starting at the back. It's still a good night.
Now, with you guys being teammates and very familiar from the MTech side of things, how is there a bit of a rivalry between you now that you're going up against each other, or is it more of just a friendly little beef between you?
Well, I mean, I think Blake outperformed me pretty substantially in MTech, given that he's a black stripe driver and I'm quite frankly not. And we had really good racing in the Champ Car Series, especially on the road courses. So I mean, I think you expect us to be close. I think the Audi was a little more favorable for this track. But we were also close at all the other rounds too. So, I mean, maybe we'll get him one of these nights. It seems like we're always like second best, but when you drive with him in endurance, it doesn't hurt at all because you're in the same car. So, he's definitely the expert of placing his car where he needs to make the optimal move. And I'm not quite there, like, with blocking off moves and stuff. I'm not quite as aggressive. So, but he's very good at pulling it off too without touching you. So there's that to his credit too. So the pace might be there, but I think like side by side racing, Blake's gonna beat me every day.
Yeah, it was definitely fun watching you try to run him down, even if you couldn't get that move done. But his first time here, we heard Blake's thoughts on it. What were your thoughts of the track?
I didn't mind it. I mean, it's definitely a more raceable track for these cars than like Summit's Point, and we do try to hit some free tracks and some tracks that are a little smaller and stuff. There's decent curbs here. I just wish they had them on the braking zones for entries, so if you touch it, you don't go completely flying. But like there's things about this track that are really of like good quality for GT3 cars. I mean, it was fun.
Yeah, it was definitely fun to watch, and there were battles all throughout the field. So many drivers very close on lap times. But wrapping things up here, Ray, anybody you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, this Audi Sport Slovakia team partnering with us at Last Lap Motorsports is phenomenal. The Spark guys, they've been behind us for a long time now, and they're still on the car, and we love representing them. Thank you to them for everything. Brian Sohn, Christian Oast, Penguin RC Sim, and Complex Sim Works, big supporters, both running with us. Great to see them having decent nights. And of course, Sarah had a little bit of a kerfluffle, but she's been just absolutely rapid and a great help to motivate me to do better. So thank you to her.
Yeah, it was definitely fun watching your whole team try to navigate through this twist and track.
Yeah.
But congratulations on the podium, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, and the Majors Garage setup was the baseline for tonight that I used. So absolute phenomenal base.
Congratulations on the podium. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
That's Ray Kingsbury, your second place finisher on the night. And Matt, as we wrap things up here, any final thoughts from you?
It's a really good race overall. I think, like Ray said, the track has some really good qualities for GT3 racing, and just it's a narrow track, but it's just big enough. It's like Blake also said, it's a bull ring, so to speak, for these GT3 cars, and I thought it was fantastic. I really can't wait until we have Spa next week, but after that, I think we have Chicago coming up.
Yep.
It really makes me wonder how that street course is gonna go. I've never seen a race there actually. I don't know if I've even driven the track, but it's an interesting circuit, and I can't wait for that one especially.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a fun rest of the season. Still have, I believe, 5 races to go, something like that. But each one of them is going to be here on Thursday nights, and going to be fun to watch these guys duke it out the rest of the season. The championship's still pretty close, but Blake extends his lead just by a little bit. The AM class, I think, is a little bit tighter than that, so going to be fun to watch the rest of the season. But that about wraps things up here from Okayama here on the Automotive Sports Network. And for everybody here at ASN and NASA, for Ray Kingsbury, Brandon Lambert, Kieran Forrest, Josh Mertz, Philip Kraus, Corey Brunton, everybody that helps put these shows on, we couldn't do it without them. But for Matt Kingsbury, I am the one and only